United we stand, divided we fall. It's as simple as that. And America is the United States of America because we are united. And I've seen shows, displays of great unity and as well as division in this country. We need to come together and focus on what's really important. I mean, things have gotten absurd. You know, removing the Confederate statues, that's pretty petty. I mean, it's like, you know, all these right-wingers who got all butthurt over, you know, Colin Kaepernick kneeling before the flag during the national anthem. That was a peaceful protest, and he got kicked out of the NFL, and everybody just went crazy over it. I mean, they were burning shit, and it was just, oh my God, you know? People go insane over this, or really, really stupid shit. But anyway, I don't know which group you're from, or even if you're with a group. I mean, I don't have that very many followers, unfortunately. I would like to have many more. I'd like to have thousands, but unfortunately I have less than 200 subscribers as of right now. But anyway, it doesn't matter if you're with Antifa, some white nationalist group, Black Lives Matter. What we need to do is come together as Americans and say something needs to be done. We need to love one another. We need to respect one another. And we have to realize that, you know, we are all equal. And yes, we all have, I mean, it's like, you can dig up dirt on pretty much any historical figure, be it Confederate, Union, American, Russian, German, French, Chinese, Japanese. The list just goes on and on and on. There are skeletons in everybody's closet. It's just that simple. There have been countless genocides over the course of over the course of history, and I mean, if you look at the statues of the pharaohs in Egypt, those guys were slave owners. They launched genocides. I mean, there's stuff in Babylon and all that stuff. I mean, if you're Antifa or BLM and you're going around wanting to destroy monuments, that's what the communists did. It's what the Taliban did. It's what ISIS did. I mean, they destroyed so many scriptures and all that stuff. They just want to erase history and have, you know, their own totalitarian regime. You don't, and the thing is like, do you really want to go in the directions of communists and radical Muslims? I sure wouldn't want to live in a country like that. And so I advise you to be very careful what you wish for. But maybe you're on the opposite end of the spectrum. Maybe you're a white nationalist. Maybe you're a black nationalist. Maybe you don't believe in integration of the races. Maybe you think we should go back to segregation or outright separation. I got news for you. An ethno-state, regardless of the race, will fail very quickly. And that's just a fact. Because the second, once nationalism needs any form of nationalism. It needs one thing to in order to function and keep itself going, and that is enemies. And when you start throwing, and then eventually you're going to start, well, maybe not eventually, but pretty soon you're going to start throwing around words like race traitor and all that, and sell out. The fact of the matter is, when you start doing that, things get really ugly really fast, and it wouldn't be long before such an ethno-state imploded. And plus, it's an attempt to go back into time. We never go back into time. The Taliban tried it, ISIS tried it, the KKK tried it, and, you know, the list just goes on and on and on, it's bound to fail. And anyway, they don't even really want to go back to something that actually existed. I mean, people go out and homestead because they want to live in a little house on the prairie. Most end up quitting because it ain't really like that. And anyway, for all you Trump supporters who are listening, I do not support that man, that orange clown. You might say, oh, I'm about to call him a dictator and a fascist and all the white supremacist and a racist and all that crap, and start comparing him to Hitler. Well, whether or not you want to compare Trump to Hitler, Andrew Jackson, favorably or unfavorably, you are probably vastly overestimating that man's capacity. He is not a hero. He is not a tyrant. He is a child king. And he is extremely dangerous, extremely immature, and extremely just stupid. And I'm scared for America. I mean, it's like he could get really crazy once the election's done. I mean, especially if he loses. I mean, he does not deal with rejection very well. He throws temper tantrums, and that temper tantrum, and he's going to have 2 months to just go crazy. And I don't know what he'll do. It's pretty scary, because Trump is not a very good loser. He does not care about the white race. He does not care about the black race. He does not care about America. He doesn't care about the world or anyone in it except himself. It's just that simple. And, what we need to do is focus on what we have in common and try to unite with one another. Just like that video with the police taking a knee to with the protesters, to the police actually getting out there and marching with the protesters. We see the National Guard dancing with protesters. That's the kind of union we need to see. I mean, look up the Christmas truce. Just remember, whether you're a protester or with the government, there is a person on the other side, whether they be a National Guardsman, a police officer, a protester, a rioter, a looter. Regardless of how much you despise that person's ideology or what they stand for or whatever, they're still a person. And just look up the Christmas truce and remember, there is a person on the other side of that line, in the opposing crowd. And what's their story? Do they have a family at their home? Do they have a girlfriend? Do they have a boyfriend? They have parents? They may have children. They may like pets. I mean, groups that hate each other often aren't that very different. They're actually very similar. And just, we need to keep the dialogue going. And we need to stop the protest. Not the protesting. We need to keep the protests going. We got to get the dialogue up and the violence down. Dialogue, yes. Violence, no. And when as Daryl Davis said, when two enemies are talking, they aren't fighting. And they might be yelling and screaming at each other, but when the talking stops, that's when the problems really start. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day. Be good, y'all. And God bless America.